And we're back
to another episode of The Road to Code.
Oh, yeah. What episode is this?
4.
Yeah, our last episode, man, we just completely blew it, didn't we? Man, we were lost. Is it 2? Is it 3? Like, which one is it? So, but yeah, I think we have our numbers straightened out. Episode number 4. So, all right. Very cool. I'm Victor. I am one of the co-hosts to the Road to Show podcast.
And I'm John, the other co-host.
And I am Gerard, the other co-host.
The other co-host. I like that. That is kind of cool. Very cool. So, Jonathan.
Yep.
Let's start with some merch.
Oh, yeah. We have some merch. So on our official website, theroadtocode.net, we have a official merch tab that opens up our merch page.
That's right. So if you want to buy some merch to support our show, it would be greatly appreciated. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have long sleeve tees, we have hoodies and tote bags.
Yeah.
Very cool. But we have a new method of people or our viewers of being able to support us. What is that, Jonathan?
Yes. Right now, we have the official Road to Code Patreon, where you could subscribe, and we have different tiers that provide different options. So to become an official Patreon or patron, you donate $5 a month and you get a free Road to Code mug.
Nice.
Early access or early notification of our YouTube videos and a yearly postcard of appreciation.
Very nice.
And the all access patron gets everything from tier 1 basically, and also they get to join us as a guest host every quarter.
Oh, very nice.
Which is fun, getting to talk about technology and stuff.
Yeah.
And the VIPs get all of the stuff from the last 2 tiers, and also raw footage of our Road to Code episode, and also be a guest as well.
That's right. That's right. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, we kept it pretty affordable, $5, $8, and $10. We didn't want to go with anything extraordinary on those costs. We know people are tight on cash, but these videos do take time, and a lot of times it takes a lot of time to do the research and whatnot. And we're hoping that this is real world content that you can use if you're a technology expert or an up and coming technology expert. And if this is benefiting you, your patronage is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. So for our Linux segment, Gerard, what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about the head-to-head compatibility comparison between Windows and Linux.
Wait a second. Are we talking about like a UFC battle between Linux and Windows?
Yep.
Are we going to make it official? We're like, are you ready? Are you ready? Fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that?
Exactly. Rounds and everything.
Very nice. So what are we going to be, what are we comparing when we're comparing these two operating systems?
Simple tasks, like everyday tasks, useful tasks.
Okay.
And then we'll continue with complex tasks and how long it takes to do those.
Okay.
Then finally, more complex tasks and how they're dealt with on each system.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I like it.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep a point system kind of like they do round for round, and like every body shot that one operating system gives the other, we're like, that's a point right there.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let's not hesitate any longer And I say we get started with this competition or this little battle between Windows and Linux.
Sweet.
Shall we announce it like the UFC? Is like in the red corner, we have Windows running Windows version 10 on a hardware platform, a real PC. And on the blue corner, we have Linux running as a virtual machine inside a VirtualBox. And we're just like, Linux, are you ready? Windows, are you ready? Fight. Very cool.
Death.
That's right. Well, what we want to start with is navigating the file system. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to be going back and forth between Jonathan sharing his screen and BJ sharing his screen. All right. So Jonathan, go ahead and share your screen.
All right.
And the first thing that we want to do is we want to navigate the file system. All right. So let's see what we got here. So you open up File Explorer, right? This is a Windows File Explorer. And let's go ahead and navigate to the root of the C drive.
All right.
So you click on there and there's everything. There's all your folders, right?
Yep, this is it.
That's it. And you can sort it. So you can go and click on date modified and it'll sort it ascending or descending. So if you click on it again, it'll put it into a descending format. So that's kind of cool. I mean, that's not too difficult. I think that's an everyday task that Windows users do. Go ahead and stop sharing and let's let Gerard share his screen. So let's do the same thing. Let's navigate the file system. Let's view the root, the content starting at the root of the drive.
Okay.
All right. All right. So what if I want to view the content sorted by date? Okay. All right. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's a little bit not too much on the clunky side, but it did it did take a few more keystrokes than it did on Windows. So I think for this one, I don't know, who would you say would be the winner on this one?
Let's say Windows. It looked
I
a
would
lot
say
neater
Windows.
too.
Yeah.
Windows. Yeah, I think so. So one for Windows. All right. So let's just say that that you want to view if you scroll on your pane to the left, if you scroll up to the top, let's say, for example, you want to look at downloads and you want to look at documents at the same time. Oh, that's a little bit more difficult. So you got to open up a second window. Well,
I got both of them right here.
That's a little disappointing. Okay, fair enough. Two windows, that's fine. So now you can see both of them. All right. Gerard, you want to go ahead and let's view the contents of two different folders at the same time, the document and the download.
Now.
Okay, well, there's your two at the same time, document and download.
Downloads. Yep.
So you can view them both at the same time with one, like 5-6 keystrokes of the keyboard. So yeah, that's kind of the way you would do it in one versus the other.
Oh,
So,
I get it now. The star. Yeah, I forgot about that. The star is like everything that has to do with DO, right?
correct.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, the wild card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in Linux, basically you can use wildcards and it is case sensitive. So when you want to list something, you say, hey, give me everything that starts with the capital D-O. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what comes after, just go ahead and list that content for me. And it gives you both files or both folders.
Mhm.
And it'll put documents and downloads there. So Jonathan, you did win round number one in the simple, everyday tasks. So would you say you've been defeated on this second round?
Um, maybe. I feel like it's a tie, maybe.
A tie.
1-2.
I don't know.
So
The
you have
fact
two windows open,
I
dude.
you
know,
have
yeah.
two windows open. I mean, come on. How many resources is that on the machine? We're not taking up any resources. I think we got to give that one to Linux.
All right.
One for Linux. All right. Jonathan, we'll go back to you. And don't feel defeated just yet. There's hope for Windows here. So in round three, what I'd like to do is I would like to create. So go ahead and go to your downloads folder.
Mhm.
And just click in there and open up your window a little bit more. Give you a little bit more real estate on that window. Man, you got a lot of stuff in there. Let's create a new folder called Playground. Something fresh and empty. All right, cool. This is nice and empty. So let's say that we wanted to create nested folders, right? And if you need to create 3 folders and they're all inside one another, we would call the top folder top level. So go ahead and create top level. Yeah, okay. And then you would create one in there and we call it middle level. And then we create one in there called bottom level. All right. So go ahead and click in there. So that gives you the 3 folders.
Mhm.
Not too bad. That wasn't very painful.
No.
Not yet, at least. Gerard, go ahead and share your screen and show us how you would do that. Go ahead and create a playground folder just to keep it as an even playing field, right? So you're gonna CD into your home. So you would use a McDir. Oh no, yeah, McDir, yeah, and
Yeah.
just call it playground. And then CD into that playground. Playground. All right. And so we want to create 3 folders, each one nested on the other. So how would you go to do that? All right. So let's go ahead and open up the File Explorer in Linux, in Ubuntu, and let's look at how that looks.
What?
What?
What the?
It did it in one swooping command. None of
Why?
this multiple clicking. I don't know. I think we got to give this one to Linux again.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
Yeah. I like that one. All right, let's not give hope. Let's not give up hope on Windows. Let's go back to Windows. So Jonathan, go ahead and share your screen. And we want to create just an empty text file.
Um,
So yeah, inside your playground. So go to your playground folder. And yeah, just create an empty text file in here.
there we go.
All right, give it a name. Call it Jonathan or something. All right. Wasn't too bad. It was what do you have to do? Maybe half a dozen clicks or so.
Yeah, just a couple.
Gerard, go ahead and share your screen and let's see how you would do that in Ubuntu or in Linux. So if you do a CD into your home folder, and yeah, just create a text file called jonathan.txt. And let's go look at it in the Linux Explorer.
There it is.
What?
You got to admit, some things are pretty easy, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, you had to fumble a little bit and you would think that this is an everyday task, but when people create something in Windows, they're so dependent on, applications to create things that they don't realize that it's built into Windows. Windows provides so much guidance that people don't realize, like, oh, we can do this in Windows fairly easy. But I don't know. I mean, this was neck and neck. I mean, this was kind of like a double shot, like you guys ever seen what is it, Rocky 2 or Rocky 3, when Apollo Creed was Rocky's coach, and then Apollo Creed tells Rocky, like, you owe me one, and he's like, at the very end of the movie, they're both boxing. They're like, yeah, it's like, let's get, let's box. And that's what Apollo Creed wanted to do. He wanted to box. And the way the movie ends, or the way that scene ends, is that, they're kind of dancing around, moving around, and then they both go to swing, and they both swing at the same time, and they pretty much, give each other like a black eye or something. And so I don't know, this one's kind of tie on both.
Yeah.
It wasn't straightforward with Linux, but it wasn't, that difficult on Windows. I think a little bit of fumbling, but not too much. So I think this is going to be a tie. We'll just go ahead and give both of them a point. So, Jonathan, go ahead and share your screen. One of the common things that I like to do is, and I do this on a daily basis, like I need to look at a calendar occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so how would you go to do that in Windows?
We have the little calendar right here.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. That's just one click and that's it. You don't need anything. It's just there, huh? Now, what if I need to look at like 60 days of the calendar or 90 days of the calendar?
I just have to like kind of scroll through it like this.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't get to see them. So you could see 1 month at a time and you just got to scroll. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Not too difficult. Not very extremely practical, but okay. Gerard, you want to go ahead and share your screen and let's see how we would accomplish this in Linux. So if we just want to see the current month. All right.
Whoa.
That's kind of cool. What if we want to see 90 days? Hey,
that's cool.
I think with that enthusiasm, I think Jonathan has a beat on this one. What if I want to see the whole year, Gerard?
Whoa.
Want to open up that window a little bit more?
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's the whole year right there. Pretty cool.
Nice.
All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, Linux, Windows.
That one probably has to go to Linux.
All right, Linux.
Obviously.
That is kind of cool. I mean, that quick calendar feature right at the command line, fingertips. It's there. All right.
And it's a pretty nice setup too. Like it has it like months are separated.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Nice.
All right. Let's move on to the more complex task. Go ahead and share your screen, Jonathan. And let's just say that, somewhere in your hard drive or somewhere, go ahead and open up your file explorer. Somewhere, maybe your document, maybe your hard drive, something. Let's just go to the root of your hard drive. And we want to find all the text files.
All right.
How do we go about doing that? And this isn't something that we would do every day.
They're all right here, I guess.
All right. Well, I mean, what if you just press that little green arrow? What happens there? Okay. All right. Yeah, look at that.
Just loading them all.
It's still loading. It's still loading. It's still loading. Oh man, it's still loading.
Wow.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I'm wondering if it just takes a long time because it has to draw all these graphics on the screen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
This can take a while. And granted, I think your Windows system is a little bit more older than Gerard's, Ubuntu operating system. But let's just go look for that jonathan.txt file and see what we get there.
Oh, it popped up over here.
Oh, look at that. You just brought it up like that.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. But all the text files are still being loaded there, huh?
Still loading. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll let this run. Gerard, go ahead and share your screen and let's see how we would go about doing this in Ubuntu. Oh,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Jeez.
That was fast.
It did it pretty quickly, I think. Jonathan, is yours still going?
It looks like it is still going. Almost almost done.
Almost done.
It's still going on the Windows side. Here we already found them. And granted, you might have a few more text files than a newly installed Ubuntu system. But yeah, I mean, I think clearly there's two sides to this. One of them is that Windows has that nice little box, and granted, it just takes forever. Is it still going, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's still going.
And Gerard did have a little bit of, a longer command to type, but it was definitely a lot quicker to come up with the results. So, oh man, I want to say this was a tie one. One of them Windows just takes forever to do stuff. But this command was quite long. Will we just give it a point for each?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, one for each. All right. So, Jonathan, round two. Let's compress some files.
All right.
So, yeah, you can go ahead and just click on the root of your C drive. And let's go over to, do you have anything in your temp folder? Or in your, what's in there? What's in the HTML advance? Okay, cool. Yeah, we can use this. So go back to your temp folder. How would you go to compress this?
So I have to send to compressed. Okay.
All right.
That
was it.
That's it.
Oh, that was actually pretty easy. What's the size on that?
14 kilobytes.
14 kilobytes. All right. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Gerard, let's see some magic here. All right. So, Gerard, you have a playground folder, and I gave you a zip file with a bunch of text files. Let's go ahead and compress that playground folder.
Okay.
/ let's just do the 2017 January. And / All right. Go ahead and press enter. Well, that added all those. What do we got in there? Can we do a listing? So we got that playground.tar. And so now we have to actually gzip it, right? And then do another ls. And can we look at the size of that gz file? So what is it? Is that 946 bytes?
Whoa.
Well, to be fair, I think Jonathan had a few more files that had contents. I think these are just empty text files. So, but it was quite the long command just to be able to zip it, you know. So it wasn't as easy, but I think you do get a lot better compression. You get a lot of different options. And granted, this is a gzip, but let's say that you want to do an actual zip file, right? If you type in history, Gerard, let's look at the history. And let's do, you see where it says line 271? We want to do the command zip playground.zip, and then go ahead and zip up the files just like you did on 171. So go ahead and type in zip space playground.zip. And then, yeah. And then go ahead and do a space and then do the playground 2017 January files 1 through 100. And I go ahead and press enter. And let's do a listing of the folder, see what we got in there. So we got both of them. And what's the file size on that zip? Wow, that zip's quite large, 18K. Wow. So here's an interesting thing. And by the way, I think Windows won this one by a long shot, because that was a pretty long command to have to zip something up. But what we do have to give Linux is that even though the command was a lot longer, you get different options. So with Linux, you get gzip, you get bzip, you get zip. I mean, there's all these different type of compression algorithm programs that allow you to compress things really, really tight. I mean, we just saw that a gzip compress it down to 940 bytes. That's less than a kilobyte. Where the zip, it did 18 kilobytes. And with Jonathan, granted, these are, we got two different types of files going on here. But, Jonathan just had one option. It was right click and send to a compressed zip file. And that was it. There was no gzip. There was no tar. There was no other option other than just zip. And it didn't allow you to measure the type of compression or anything. We're going to give this one to Windows, I think. So Windows, 1 point for you, because it was very, very easy, very simple. But you didn't have options. So it's in that particular case, people may not care. They'd rather have the simple solution. So congratulations, Jonathan. You got a point for Windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's schedule something. So Jonathan, why don't you go ahead and share your screen? Let's schedule something in in Windows. And this part, hang on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slow your roll. In this particular one, we're gonna have to do a little bit of a setup because Windows does have some limitations on how it runs commands. So let's, in your temp folder right there, go ahead and right click and let's create a new text file. And let's just call it echo and press enter. And then let's go ahead and open up a command really quick. We have to do a little bit of behind the scenes magic here. So go ahead and go down to your go down to your start menu and type command CMD. There you go. Go ahead and bring that up. And then go ahead and type in CD space /temp. And then go ahead and press enter. And one of the things to note is that Windows is a / while Linux is a /. So that's a big distinction there. Something to keep in mind. And then go ahead and do a dir. So dir is equivalent to what Gerard's been doing, which is ls. So go ahead and press enter. And you can see we have that echo.txt, right? We want to rename that echo to a batch file, which means that it'll be able to run and execute. So go ahead and type in ren space echo.txt space echo.bat, like the Batmobile, and press enter. And let's do a dir again. So now it's a batch file. All right, so let's go ahead and exit out of here. And let's right click on that echo and edit. And in here, what we want to do is we want to say echo space, and then inside of quotes, double quotes, we want to say hello, comma, world, exclamation. And let's make that a capital H. Let's do some proper English here.
All right.
We're not programming today.
Hmm.
And then we're going to do, now go back to that first line, to the end of the first line. We'll go ahead and do a space at the end. And then do 2 greater than signs. And then space. And then let's just go ahead and do echo.txt. TXT actually. Yeah. And let's go ahead and Control S to save it. And go ahead and close this. All right. Now we go ahead and let the bull out of the cage and open up that scheduler, that task scheduler. All right. So let's just go ahead and create a task, not a basic task, but create a task. All right. And let's just call it echo. And then let's go ahead and click on the trigger. And we're going to go ahead and create a new trigger. Let's go ahead and schedule it for 5:43. It'll take us a couple minutes to, you see what I mean? 5:43. And then down at the bottom, repeat every, click on 5 minutes and replace 5 minutes with 1 minute. And then for a duration of 15 minutes. So you can select the down arrow. Oh yeah, there you go. And go ahead and hit OK on that. Oh, okay. So action, go ahead and hit new action. And let's go ahead and type in C:\temp /echo.bat. All right. And then hit OK. and hit OK. And go ahead and click on the scheduler folder, task scheduler library, and click on Echo. You might want to maximize your window or at least enlarge it so that we can see more of it. And then click on Echo. And then click on history. Oh, we need to enable the history. On the right-hand side, it says enable all task history.
There you go.
All right, so the task completed. Now let's go back to your Windows Explorer, your file Explorer. And, oh, interesting. Where did it go? We should have a text file in here. I wonder where it went.
Oh, it's there. It just popped up. I saw it.
Oh, okay, there it is. So go ahead and open that. Okay, we got Hello World. I'll go ahead and close this before it fires up again. All right. So essentially, we're able to see that we're able to schedule something, right? Not something you do every day. You do schedule things, but it's in Windows, you don't really use something like the scheduler. Not very many people know about it. But in Linux, this is a very common task. Troy, you want to go ahead and share your screen and we'll schedule something in Linux?
Yes.
What is that used for?
It's a task. I mean, automated tasks. So like if you have a backup, like you want to, back up some files or whatever, you can set it up as a task scheduler and it'll just run. So you can run your backups every midnight or whatever. You can see all the other tasks in there. So Google Chrome executes its automatic updates through that Windows task scheduler. So all that stuff goes in there and you can also create tasks.
Wow.
So let's schedule the same thing. Let's see. We can go ahead and put it into your documents, right? So let's open up the cron tab, and cron is a Roman word for chrono, which means time or schedule or something like that. So very cool. It opens it up right in Nano here. So you can go all the way down to the bottom. And the way that cron works is that it's a much simpler scheduling system. So go ahead and schedule something that runs every minute.
Like that, right?
Yeah, it'll be 5 asterisks. All right. Control O to save it. Press enter. And Control X to exit. And let's open up the File Explorer in Linux and let's go monitor that playground folder. And yeah, it'll probably take about a minute to run or for it to appear here. So we'll just have to wait. Jonathan, in the meantime, is it still running? Has it entered a couple more lines on your side?
No.
That's disappointing. But here we have the hello.txt
Yes.
on the screen. So let's double click on that. And there's our first entry. So let's go ahead and close it.
Yes.
And essentially it's just going to run over and over again. But we kind of get the picture.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot simpler in Linux to do this. So much easier. I mean, simple command, type in a couple of chronos, expressions to indicate when you want this to run. And yeah, I mean, so basically every asterisk represents minutes, hours, days, months, and years. So what we said is just run every minute. All asterisks just means just run every minute. we can specify we want it to run every 15 minutes or every 15 minutes of the hour. So it'll run at 0, 15, 30, and 45, and it'll run every 15 minutes of the hour. We can say run it at midnight, which would be 0 hours, on every Sunday or every Monday or a day of the week or whatever. And you can specify down to the specific year that you want something to run. And so it'll basically run it based on that schedule. Gerard, let's go ahead and delete that cron job. We don't want that hello text to go out of control. There you go. Control O, enter, and then Control X to exit. And that's it. So I don't know, Jonathan, that was quite the winded task in order to add a schedule.
Yep.
I think we got to give that one to Linux, right?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. All right, Jonathan. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen? And this is not something that you would do every day, but I do want to give you a scenario. And let's say that you're grabbing all the photos from your phone, and you want to sort them out by year and by month on your file system. So let's just go ahead and go into your playground. All right. And let's just say that, you know, you've downloaded your photos from your phone, and you want to save them based on year and month. So, and let's just say that you've had files since 2017. You got your phone in 2017, so you have every year 2017 through 2022, and you want to put, for every year, you want to go and say, I want to put January through December in each one. What would be the quickest way to do this in Windows?
I would have to create a photo, like another folder.
Okay, so this would be 2017.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
Right.
then, so you got to do it again for 2018.
We're going.
And then 2019.
Yep.
And then 2020. And then 2021. And then you have to put January through February in each one of those.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oops.
Dude,
That's a lot of clicking. man.
struggling under pressure.
Oh no, it broke.
Oh, you broke it.
Pressing too many buttons at once.
All right.
All right. Well, we got that picture. Gerard, you want to show us how we would do this in Linux?
Yes, of course. Oh wait. Ooh.
All right. So we saw the painful process that Jonathan just went through, and he even managed to crash Windows. Let's go into your home folder and and then go into your playground. All right. And how do we create our folders 2017 through 2022, and then each one of those folders have the months January through December?
It'll be through commands.
That's right. We're going to use a mcdir command.
Mcdir.
Quite a bit of typing there. Probably the same amount of typing that Jonathan would have had.
Yeah.
Except Jonathan would have had to do it for every year after that. Actually, he probably could have just copied the folders. So he probably just had to type it once. All right. All right. Very cool. Can we go look at the file explorer to see if those were really created? Wow. Look at
Whoa.
that. Let's pick 2020. Look at that. Let's go pick another one, 2019. That's kind of cool. That's not bad. I mean, I kind of like that. So let's go even further and let's dazzle the kids at home and let's create 100 text files in each one of those.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's go look at one of the years inside your playground. Let's see. Let's pick 2017, and any month is good. So there's 100 files in each one of these.
Nice.
That is kind of cool. Now, it may seem a little confusing, this command, right? But let's talk about what it's doing. Jonathan, you got pretty far in math when you went to college, right?
Yeah.
The distributive property. What is the whole purpose of having a distributive property in math?
Oh, so you could multiply multiple numbers.
So essentially what's happening here, if we take the McDir command, it's going to create a directory 2017, and then it's going to create a directory under 2017 for each one of the months, January, February, March, April, so on and so forth. And then it's going to move on to the next year, 2018, and do the months under its folder, and then 2019, and so on and so forth. So basically it's distributing each one between the two curly braces. And then when we go and run the touch command, we're saying, hey, for each one of the folders, 2017, for each one of the months, go and create 100 files in each one of those folders. And we do that with the touch command and just say, hey, go touch this file and create it. So they're all empty, but they're all there. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So single line. Did your machine recover? Were you able to finish the?
Oh no, still working on them.
No, don't worry about it, Jonathan. We'll go ahead.
It'll take years.
We'll go ahead and just give this one to Linux, right? But I think there is a zip file that I provided to you, Jonathan. So why don't you go ahead and grab that zip file? You can go ahead and put your that zip file, unzip it into your documents folder. All right. Since you already have a playground. You could just right click and unzip, extract all. There you go. Windows might be able to redeem itself here.
17,381 items.
That's right. Wow, that thing's still unzipping, huh?
Still going.
A bajillion files.
Tell me about it. All right, we have it extracted, huh?
Yeah.
So Jonathan, inside that playground, there's a folder called Haystack.
All right.
And in there is 100 folders, and each folder has 100 files.
Okay.
Files 1 through 100. But in one of these folders, there is a file called needle.txt.
All right, I'll find it.
So you need to find the needle in the haystack.
Oh man. Wait. I can totally just randomly find it.
No, stay right there and then search haystack.
In here?
Yeah. No. Go back to haystack.
Oh. It's needle.
Cheating. Windows, you cheater.
No.
No?
Yeah, you got to hit the little green arrow.
Yeah, but just push.
on.
Yeah, needle. Put 3.
And then hit the little green arrow. All right.
Oh,
There we go.
Where's it located at?
It is. Oh, how do I check?
So you can go down to open file location.
hey.
Oh, folder 76.
And folders number 76. That's where it's located. That wasn't too bad. If you didn't have that search, it would be pretty painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Gerard, let's go find the needle in the haystack that I sent you. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen and let's see how easy or difficult it is to find that needle. All right. Well, there it is. It found it in folder number 60, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a long-winded command. I have to admit, Windows is a little bit better at finding files, but it just takes so long to do sometimes, especially when you have to look for a lot of files, like a lot of text files. It just takes forever. But to find one file, like I think I have to give this one to Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was, it's kind of cool that it tells you exactly where it's at. It's also kind of nice just to type it in the box and hit the little green arrow and it just appears,
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would give to Windows on finding. But I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Windows.
It's
I feel like it's pretty.
it's back and forth.
It is. It's pretty similar. It could be a tie.
All right, we'll give it to both.
Okay.
Ding ding.
Very cool. Well, let's Gerard, let's stay on this screen. Let's continue sharing your screen, but let's talk about things that Linux can do that Windows can't. At least it doesn't seem like it's pretty straightforward, right? So say, for example, let's just say we have a text file and you want to see the first few lines of the text file, or you want to see the bottom lines of the text file. In Windows, there really isn't any command that allows you to do that. You either open up the text file. If it's a text file, you have to open up the whole file, and you're either going to be at the top or you got to scroll all the way to the bottom. And if it's a huge file, you got to wait for it to load into the editor. And it's just, you can't just go in and look at something, right? Where if you have, let's see, let's go into the bar log folder. So if you type in cd space /var/log, enter. And let's go ahead and do a listing LL and see what type of logs we have here. And you can see that these log files are probably, they're not too bad, but at the same time, they can probably be a little better. But we have that boot log. If we just want to see the first few lines of that boot log, we can type in head space boot.log. Can we do a sudo? So that gives us the first few lines. And if we want to see the last few lines, we can just type in tail. You may have to use a sudo again. And that gives you the tail end of the file. So these are things that you cannot do in Windows. You either have to open up the whole file and you have to scroll to the whole thing. And, if you have quite the large file, this is it's very convenient to be able to see the last few lines or the first few lines of the file. That's pretty much like one of the things that I really do like about Linux is, one of the things that you can do in Linux, but you can't do in Windows. But let's compare the file systems between the two, right? Let's Jonathan, can you go ahead and share your screen? And go ahead and open up your folder. And you see on the left-hand side of your window, you have these quick access folders, right? So it's your desktop, your downloads, your documents, your pictures, right? But one of the things that people, at least not your normal typical user, doesn't know is that these are quick access folders to another location. So if you go and expand your C drive, so go down to the root of your C drive, and then double click into the users, you'll see that you have a Jonathan. So if there was a second user on this machine, say me, my name would be here. So that would also be as Victor. And whenever I'm logged in, my quick access folders would be pointing to my users / Victor. Because you're logged in, it's pointed to Jonathan. So if you double click inside of Jonathan, you'll see that you have your desktop, your documents, your downloads, your music, your pictures, all that good stuff. And so that's one of the things that you have. Gerard, you want to go ahead and share? And let's go ahead and do a CD space PuTTY to take us to the home page or to the home directory. And if you just type in LL, you'll notice that there's very similar structure, right? You have desktop, you have documents, you have downloads, you have music, you have pictures, very similar. And you'll see that the owner is you, Gerard. But if you do a CD space ... it'll take you back one folder. And then let's do an LL again. Look at that. You have Gerard in there. So there is that similarity between Windows and Linux, right? Where you have the users folder and whoever is logged in, the tilde sign represents the home folder of the person who's logged in. So if I'm a user on your Linux machine, under this users or this home folder, you would have Victor. And I would also have the exact same thing, right? Desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, so on and so forth. And so you wouldn't have access to my files unless you're an admin on the machine, and I wouldn't have access to yours unless I'm an admin. So it kind of keeps our files segregated. It keeps them separate and separate from each other. So that's the similarity between the two that I did notice. Jonathan, do you want to go ahead and share again? Let's talk about what the root represents in Windows. So you'll notice that under this PC, you have local disk C, you have storage D over on the left-hand side. And then you also have, if you scroll down just a little bit, you also have some map drives, right? And so what happens is that, go ahead and click on storage D. You'll notice that you're now at the root of the D drive. Mm-hmm. So in Windows, there's no concept as a single root. You have multiple roots of every single drive. So if you were to connect a thumb drive, then that thumb drive would just be added to another letter. And when you click on there, you would be at the root of that thumb drive, right? So there's multiple roots and there's a drive letter. There's a letter assigned to every drive that's installed on your machine. The other thing to note is that if you were to plug in your phone, it doesn't necessarily bring it up as your phone. It just adds another drive letter to it. You know, it just like it'll be E, F, G, so on and so forth, as a way to represent like multiple roots of the tree. This PC, if you go to this PC, so if you scroll up on that left pane, go all the way up to this PC, this isn't really the root because you have a bunch of other things, right? It's just saying, hey, we're in this PC. Here's all the storage devices that are available. Linux is different. Can we go and share yours, Gerard? Linux has one root. There is no drive letters. So if you do cd space / and then press enter, and you do an LL, these are all the folders that are available. So if you were to add a drive, or if you were to plug in a CD-ROM, it would actually mount it into that particular folder. So you see there's a CD-ROM / that means that if you install a CD-ROM and you put a disk in there, that's where you would find the contents. There's also a dev folder, which stands for device. So if you do a LL space dev and then press enter, you'll notice that these are all devices. So if you scroll up a little bit, yeah, you see you have all the different devices. So any additional hard drives, DVD, floppy drives, other hard drives would more than likely show up here. So let's go back to the root. You could just do cd space .. It'll take you back one folder. And let's do an LL again to list. There's also a mount folder, which is MNT. And so if you do an LL on the mount folder, it's just MNT. Any devices would be mounted here. So if you were to plug something in, or if you were to connect to a network drive or something, you can put it into this mount folder. And essentially, whatever other hard drives you have would just end up being a mount point on a particular folder. So there's no concept of letter drives like there is in Windows. And so that's one of the main differences when it comes to how the files are treated, or the file system is treated. Jonathan, go ahead and share your screen again. When you install programs, can you go ahead and expand your C drive? When you expand programs, go ahead and click on your C drive. Your programs are installed into program files and program files x86. If it's a 64-bit application, it'll install it in the program files. If it happens to be a 32-bit application, it installs it into the x86 program files folder. And that's pretty much whenever you install Word, this is where your files are going to go to. When you install Visual Studio, when you install SQL Server, everything gets installed into these particular two folders. There is really no, notion of a particular folder that you would install for a file. The only difference is that sometimes it'll ask you if you want to install this for just you or for everyone on your machine, right? Which means that you'll have multiple users that can use it. Then it'll go ahead and install it under your user, Jonathan. So it'll be C drive users, Jonathan. And then I think it's going to be app data, but app data is not viewable here. So you have to go up to the address and then type in / and then app. I think it's data. Is it underscore data or is it data? No, I think it's just app data. Yep. And so it'll install it here. This folder is actually hidden. And so you have to manually type it in order to get to it. But things like Chrome, things like Visual Studio Code, those are all user-specific installations, and it installs it here. The other thing is, if you go to the root of your C drive, you'll notice that you have a Windows folder. Let's be really careful, Jonathan, when you go into that Windows folder. Go ahead, and I wouldn't click on it. Well, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Let's just be careful, okay? Because this is your operating system. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit and go ahead and keep on going. And let's go down to the E's. Get past all these folders, and let's look for a file called Explorer. Don't click on it.
Yep.
That Explorer is your Windows File Explorer. Okay. In other words, if you do double click on it, it's just going to bring another Explorer up. So go ahead and double click on that.
Whoa.
And it just brings up. So this is where the core file systems for your operating system, this is where they exist. Okay. So all the boot files, all the logs, and even down to the kernel. And we'll talk about the kernel in a moment. But this is where everything exists. And so I believe that if you scroll, go ahead and close this File Explorer and scroll up to where it says System 32 in the folders. And this is where we want to be even more super careful when we're in here. Go ahead and double click into System 32. And let's look for a file called Win or W kernel or Win kernel. I get past all these folders. Yeah, go ahead and keep on going. It'll be OS kernel or Win kernel, one of the two, or NT kernel. Try NT kernel. Do we have NT? Yeah, there it is. NT OS kernel, 2 up, 1 down. NT OS kernel. So this kernel is the program. Okay, many people don't know this, but the operating system is just another program. Is the program that communicates between all your other programs and the hardware. So this File Explorer is communicating through the NT OS kernel in order to access the hard drive. So it's not the File Explorer that accesses the hard drive. It communicates with this kernel, and the kernel communicates with the hard drive, and it sends messages back up to the explorer.exe in order to be able to display this information. So this is kind of one of those things. And every operating system has a kernel in order to communicate with the hardware itself. Okay, this is, I don't know if you remember in our first episode where we talked about there's so many layers of communication. You know, you have your hardware, and your hardware has firmware that communicates with its own hardware. And the kernel or the operating system communicates with the firmware in the hardware. And then your programs communicate with the kernel. And so when we're writing programming languages, we're like 24 levels above this kernel when we're communicating with hardware through the programming. And so, you know, but everything needs to go through the actual kernel. Let's go ahead and safely close this window. We want to get out of this area. It's I would say it's a very sensitive, you move anything in there and you'll probably be up shit creek without a paddle. Gerard, let's go ahead and share your screen here. What I like about the terminal is that as long as you stay within the LL or the LS command, you can pretty much navigate anywhere in the system. So if we want to look at, say, for example, we want to look at, are we on the root of the drive? Can we do an LL? Okay, great. Now, there should be a folder called, let's see here. I know I moved my screen a little bit here. It's going to be called, I think it's under boot. Try boot. So CD into boot. And I feel much more comfortable doing this because it's just a terminal, right? And unless, you know, there's no accidental like, oops, I dragged this file up to the trash can. None of that exists in this particular case. And so I feel so much more safer doing this. If you were to do an LL, what's in here? Linux, the kernel is a little bit different. The kernel is actually inside the VM Linux. It's like the fourth from the bottom.
Mm, yeah.
So it's actually a compressed file. And that compressed file gets loaded into memory. And it's inside that file that it uncompresses it, puts it into memory, and the kernel then exists in memory. So the boot process is a little bit different than how you would find it in Windows. Windows boot process, it has the NT/OS kernel right on the file, within the file system, which makes it, a little dicey, especially with the whole click and drag type of capability in Windows.
Yeah.
Like you can easily accidentally go and drag something. And I don't feel uncomfortable about going into these folders, especially within the terminal. The terminal is like you can't do it. You can't accidentally, unless you deliberately type in
Yeah, you
RM.
physically have to type into.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Oh
and
man.
at that point, you can go ahead and go into these folders and list the contents without having to worry about, accidentally moving something because
Yeah.
the mouse, buzzed out on you or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's kind of how that whole thing shakes out. So we have the program files, we got the boot files, we talked about the devices, we talked about where the applications are installed. You can go ahead and stop sharing. The last thing I want to talk about is file extensions. Linux doesn't give a rat's ass about file extensions, because when you go and you want to see what type of file a particular file is, there's a header in the file that tells Linux this is the type of file that it is. It'll tell you if it's a Word document, an Excel document, a text document, a compiled, program, where Windows heavily depends on those extensions. And it blindly, based on those extensions, it goes and tries to run whatever it is and then fails
Mhm.
after the fact. This is up. I try to run this and it turns out it's just a text file and it just says like, can't do it, where you can go and name a program with any extension you want. You can go name it JPEG, MPEG, TXT. It's gonna run it based on the header information. It doesn't actually look at the file extension itself. So that's the other thing that I really admire about Linux, is that it goes through the check process of making sure that the type of file it's going to be working with is based on the header information that it has on that. But yeah, that was kind of fun. The whole head-to-head competition between Windows and Linux, just like we learned a couple things. There are some things that are easier to do in Windows than they are in Linux, and vice versa. There's some things that are easier to do in Linux than they are in Windows. And even if it's not easier, you get a lot more flexibility within Linux itself. So it's, again, we go back to the automatic versus manual transmission,
Yeah.
like how much more flexibility you have with that manual transmission than letting the automobile determine what gear it should be in when it doesn't always make the right decision for you. So, well, it's clear that working with a keyboard is probably more efficient, safer, in some cases faster, not always. The mouse in Windows is convenient, but and it also takes you through a guided system of, when you want to go and compress, you right click, you send it to a compress. So it's a guided menu system, right? But it also is prone to errors. You know what I mean? And so those are kind of like the final thoughts that I have on this comparison. And it's so sad when these moments begin to arrive, knowing that we've reached the end of our episode here. But at the same time, there's joy in knowing that we got plenty more in the year 2022.
Oh yeah.
Gerard, what's in store for our next episode?
We're going to be talking about the standard input and output.
Yeah.
Um, Linux has an interesting concept of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The way it uses the file system, makes for an interesting demo. So we'll be going through
Yeah.
that. Redirection, piping, using the T command.
Yeah. We'll get into some of that in the next episode. There's some interesting things that are really, really cool to work with, especially when it comes to input and output.
Mhm.
All right. Any final words?
My hands were sweating when Jonathan was in the, we're like next to the kernel. There's this meme that I mean it's ongoing, but like people say, oh, my computer's slow, and then people like say like delete system 32, it'll make your computer faster.
It definitely will. It most definitely will. Cool. Well, if you're enjoying the content and if you're benefiting from it, you can help us out by buying us a cup of coffee. Where can they buy us a cup of coffee, Gerard?
buymeacupofcoffee.com/the-road-to-code.
Heck, buy us 3. There's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Until next time.
Peace out.